Okay, forget everything else you might be hearing of the playoffs right now, because the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. This one's different.
Oh,
It's not just another series. It's like the most fascinating, maybe the most chaotic matchup out there.
absolutely. It's a total collision course.
Think brains versus brawn, maybe like chess masters who can also throw an elbow.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
You got the Lakers offense, right? LeBron, Luka, pure genius sometimes.
And then bam, you run into this Timberwolves team. They're built like a brick wall. Gobert inside.
Just a fortress.
Yeah.
So our goal today really is to break this all down.
Yep, give you everything you need to know before tip-off so you can really see the strategies playing out. Don't want to miss the key stuff here.
So let's dive right in. What really jumps out first is how completely different these teams are built. Their philosophies, I mean.
Right, the Lakers. It's almost surgical on offense. Small, maybe, compared to Minnesota, but so precise.
Exactly. It's this collection of amazing playmakers. Luka, LeBron, even Hachimura stepping up.
Yeah.
It all flows together like a machine almost.
A very, very smart machine.
But then you flip it. Minnesota. It's all about sheer size, physicality, dominant defense.
Gobert just owns the paint, doesn't he?
He really does. And Jaden McDaniels on the perimeter, he's become a nightmare for offensive players.
So it really sets up this fundamental question for the whole series, I think, for everyone watching.
Which is?
What happens when that seemingly unstoppable Lakers offense smashes into that immovable Timberwolves defense?
Yeah, the classic paradox. Irresistible force, immovable object. Over 7 games. Something's got to give.
Right. Which one breaks first?
Can LA's creativity consistently find cracks? Or will Minnesota just, suffocate them, dictate the pace?
That's the tension, isn't it? That's what's going to define this thing.
They're sure.
Okay, so let's dig into the mechanics a bit, how this might actually look on the court. I was thinking about some specific defensive matchups Minnesota might try, some interesting possibilities there.
Like, what caught your eye?
Well, the idea of maybe, just maybe, putting Jaden McDaniels on Jackson Hayes.
Interesting. Why?
It kind of reminded me of what Boston did against Dallas in the finals, putting a wing defender on the roll man, the lob threat.
Ah, okay. To neutralize that vertical spacing Hayes provides.
Exactly. The thinking would be McDaniels has the quickness, the length. Maybe he can disrupt those lobs from LeBron or Luka.
And the bigger goal there for Minnesota would be?
To keep Gobert closer to the basket, right? If McDaniels handles Hayes, Gobert doesn't have to step up quite as much. He can just patrol the paint.
That makes a lot of sense. It lets Gobert be Gobert, essentially. Rim protector first. It frees him up.
Cuts off those easy interior buckets.
Yeah, that could really mess with the Lakers' flow near the rim.
And speaking of Gobert in the paint, that's another huge dynamic, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
He's so dominant down there. But the Lakers do have guys who can shoot. You mentioned Hachimura, DFS. They can hit threes.
And that creates that constant push-pull for the Wolves' defense, doesn't it?
Totally. If Rui and DFS are knocking down shots,
then Gobert has to come out. He has to respect them. He can't just camp under the hoop.
and that opens up lanes for Luka and LeBron to drive, to create.
But if those shots aren't falling,
Then Minnesota wins that battle, right?
Yeah, sure.
They can pack the paint, wall everything off, and basically dare LA to beat them from outside.
so it becomes a game of adjustments. Can the Lakers punish Minnesota if they overhelp on drives?
Yeah.
Kickouts for threes.
Or does Gobert just shut down those driving lanes completely, make life miserable for anyone trying to get to the rim?
It's going to be fascinating to watch that chess match play out possession by possession.
Absolutely. Okay, which brings me to something else. Maybe a potential weak spot for Minnesota defensively.
Oh, what are you thinking?
Mike Conley.
The size issue.
Exactly. Look, he's brilliant. Super smart player, great passer, runs their offense so well.
Invaluable for them.
But probably, he's giving up a lot of size to LeBron. And to Luka,
A lot of size.
it just feels inevitable, doesn't it? That the Lakers are going to hunt that mismatch. Post him up, drive at him.
Yeah. You have to assume that's going to be a major part of the Lakers' game plan. Put Conley in tough spots defensively, try to wear him down, maybe get him in foul trouble.
Right. And that forces the rest of the Wolves' defense to constantly rotate, to help, maybe overhelp.
It puts a ton of pressure on their whole defensive structure.
So this creates a real puzzle for the Timberwolves coaches,
Yeah.
right? A dilemma.
For sure. What do you do?
Do you stick with Conley? Knowing he's going to be targeted relentlessly, risking your defense bending or breaking him?
Or think about benching him.
Yeah.
Or at least cutting his minutes in key stretches.
Maybe bring in someone like Nikhil Alexander-Walker. Or even DiVincenzo for more defensive toughness.
Well, then you lose Conley's playmaking, his steady hand on offense. That's a tough trade-off.
It really is. So I gotta ask you, put yourself in their shoes. Crunch time, tight game.
Yeah.
Would you trust Conley to hold up against LeBron or Luka hunting him? Or do you maybe make that defensive switch, even if it costs you something offensively?
Ooh, that's the million-dollar question for their coaching staff, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's incredibly tough. Conley's experience is huge in those moments, but the physical disadvantage is just, it's glaring.
It really is.
I suspect they'll try to stick with him, maybe scheme ways to help him, but if it becomes a consistent bleeding point, they might have to adjust. It's a high-wire act.
Definitely something to watch. Okay, let's flip it again. Lakers defense, what's their plan?
Speed, discipline, lots and lots of switching.
Yeah, they switch almost everything, don't they? Try to keep the ball in front, force drivers towards the baseline help.
Right, and they rely on quick rotations behind that.
Yeah.
Scramble hard to cover shooters. It's an aggressive style.
It can be really effective, disruptive.
Definitely, it's worked for them.
Yeah.
But there's a potential downside to playing that way, especially against this opponent.
Rebound.
Exactly. When you're switching everything, scrambling around, sometimes you lose track of your man. Boxing out becomes harder.
And you're facing Gobert, one of the best rebounders on the planet.
And Towns isn't small either. Even Edwards crashes the glass. Minnesota has a serious size and strength advantage there.
That feels like a huge potential weakness for LA's aggressive defense. Can they survive on the boards?
That's a major concern. Plus, you've got Anthony Edwards just exploding offensively.
Man, his pull-up three-point shooting right now?
It's unreal. He's hitting tough, contested shots at a ridiculous clip.
So that adds another massive layer of pressure on the Lakers' D.
No doubt, even if they execute their switching perfectly, Ant can just rise up and hit a bomb over the top.
So here's a question for LA on that end. If Ant just goes nuclear, if he gets into one of those zones where everything is falling,
Yeah.
is there any answer for them? Or do they just kind of have to hope he cools down eventually, maybe misses some shots in the fourth quarter?
Well, you try different things.
Yeah.
Throw different looks at him, try to be physical, maybe trap him sometimes to get the ball out of his hands.
He can work for everything.
Make him work, exactly. Make him take the toughest shots possible. But sometimes, a great player just gets hot.
And there's not much you can do except tip your cap and hope it stops.
Pretty much. You try to contain the damage, limit the easy ones, and survive the onslaught. But stopping him completely when he's rolling, that's a tall order.
Okay, let's talk X factors, potential curveballs here.
All right.
I've noticed Minnesota tinkering sometimes with going really small. Well, small for them. 5-out lineups.
Right, with Towns maybe at the 5, or even Naz Reid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
spreading the floor completely.
Yeah.
Putting 5 shooters out there.
That's a really interesting wrinkle. It pulls Gobert or whoever the Lakers have at center away from the ring defensively.
Opens up driving lanes, right? Especially for Ant.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it puts a ton of stress on LA's perimeter defense to cover all that space, close out hard on shooters.
So how do the Lakers counter that if the Wolves go 5-out?
Well, you might see them try some zone looks.
Yeah.
Maybe a 2-3 zone to kind of protect the paint a bit more, force Minnesota into maybe slightly less comfortable shots.
Kind of clock things up a bit.
Yeah. And offensively, you know what the Lakers are going to do.
Oh, yeah. Luka and LeBron. Pick and roll. Relentlessly.
Over and over. They'll try to attack whatever mismatch they see in that spread formation. Find the weak link.
It always comes back to that chess match, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Which I think leads us to the ultimate deciding factor in a series like this.
Which is?
Late game execution. Those final 5 minutes when the pressure is insane.
Mm-hmm. Crunch time.
Minnesota has incredible talent. No denying that. Edwards, Towns, Gobert, elite players.
But the Lakers, they have the experience, they have the basketball IQ, especially with LeBron and Luka. That's
And it's a different kind of weapon, isn't it? That poise, that understanding of how to win in those moments. They've just been there so many times.
Exactly, that playoff brains, you could call it.
And often, in the playoffs, when things get tight, brains tend to win out over raw talent. Not always, but often.
So, okay, prediction time. Where are you leaning?
Man, this is tough. It feels so close.
I know, right? I think this is going 6, maybe even 7 games, it's going to be a grind.
Agreed. Every game could be a nail-biter.
Ultimately, I'm leaning just slightly towards the Lakers.
Okay. Why?
Just that factor we talked about. The late-game execution, the experience, LeBron and Luka finding ways to make winning plays when it absolutely matters most.
A veteran savvy?
Yeah. I think that championship pedigree, that ability to perform under the brightest lights might just be the difference. But I expect Minnesota to push them to the absolute limit. Every single game decided late.
That sounds about right. It's a reasonable prediction. Lakers' experience versus the Wolves' physicality and Ant's star power. It really could go either way depending on who makes the plays in the fourth quarter.
For sure. So now we turn it over to everyone listening. Who do you think takes this series? Lakers or Timberwolves?
Minnesota's muscle or LA's masterminds?
Let us know. Drop your predictions down in the comments, who wins and in how many games. We really want to see what you guys think.
Yeah, definitely want to read those takes.
And hey, if you got something out of this deep dive, if you feel a bit more ready for this awesome series,
do us a solid.
Yeah, please give this a like, hit subscribe so you don't miss our next playoff breakdown, and definitely turn on those notifications.
Get those predictions in. Let's see them.